welcome to Projector Room. It's your favourite podcast that talks about film, cinema and TV, blah, blah, blah. It's show 211 and it's the 27th of May and it's baking hot and I won't complain, will I? My co-host, of course, Gareth Myles. Hello, Gareth.
Hello there from the bright and breezy Northern Ireland, where it's not quite as baking hot, but it is fairly hot here. It's not as bad as Ted. He's got it rough tonight, folks.
It's like a roasting can here. I won't go on about it though. I'll save that for Tech Addicts. Tech Addicts is back, not this Sunday, but the following Sunday. So watch out for that one, everyone. Right, okay. So projectorroom.co.uk is our website, and the MeWe group is there if you want to tell us what you've been watching, and GarethMyles.com is where you'll find Gareth, and TedSalmon.com is where you'll find me with all my links. We will apologise. I will apologise ahead though. I've got fans going and doors open, and there's trains going by, no doubt, and there's children screaming outside and dogs barking. I'll be amazed if you, dear listener, can't hear some crap going on during this recording, for which I apologise.
I'm sure if Aidan Bell was on here, he'd be editing in T-Rexes roaring, old ladies shouting at you, and people screaming. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. He does have fun with his audio. Right. We're going to go to contributions and feedback, and I'd just like to prelim this by saying that in order to try and summarise some of the stuff that people put into the MeWe group, we decided to try and put some of this back in. We had kind of abandoned it for a while, but we're going to try and put some of the back in. But be warned that what I do is take this and I give it to Gemma, to Gemini, and I say to her, please summarise this in 250 words so I can read it out on the show. And then what she gives me is what is here and presented. If you're not happy with that going on, then you basically don't put your reviews into MeWe, because
people.
Well, because I can't be doing with going back and forward and checking that I'm saying the right thing and making sure I'm not offending someone and blah 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 and half the time not understanding it myself anyway. So no, I'm not pointing the finger at anyone in particular, just anyone. So this is Gemma's doing. And we're going to start with Carl Leong. He's been watching the 16-episode Chinese sci-fi crime drama Mobius, which was in 2025. The plot follows a criminal investigator, Ding Chi, who can time travel back to midnight of the current day to gather evidence and prevent crimes, though he is restricted by a strict 5-cycle limit. The mystery deepens when he discovers others with the same ability, all tied to a genetic biotech firm. While the China and Hong Kong cast members might not be widely familiar, their performances are competent, and the dynamic between the two male leads is a highlight. Based on a Chinese novel, the series is well shot and well written. However, it suffers from an uneven pace that occasionally dampens the intensity. As is typical with time travel plots, some logic gaps may leave viewers scratching their heads. At 16 episodes, it's refreshingly short for a C-drama, which often run to 20 to 40 episodes. It serves as a good gateway for newcomers to Chinese television. It's an exciting, recommended watch, though you might want to use the fast-forward button through some of the slower segments. So there you go. Thank you, Carl Young. Good to have you back. We're not heard from you for a while, keeping us up to date with these interesting dramas and stuff from the Far East. So good on you.
I'd actually just scooted past that in the show notes thinking it was that other superhero film that was out a few years ago. I hadn't realized it was a TV series. That sounds pretty good. Yeah, that sounds really interesting. As opposed to that, what was it, Jared Leto thing that didn't do very well, called... maybe that was Morbius or something. I don't know. Right. But yes, very nice. Leong. Sounds good.
Cool.
Chad Dixon has written in on the new Star Wars film, Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu Go Shopping. Despite having never watched the the Disney Plus TV series, Chad found this movie to be incredibly easy to follow, and it felt right at home from the first minute. Pedro Pascal is praised as a cool-headed Mandalorian, being shortened down to Mando, alongside his force-wielding sidekick, Grogu, who's also known as like the Baby Yoda type thing, little blue guy. Notable highlights include Sigourney Weaver as the straightforward rebel-based leader, and a surprisingly talkative voice cameo from Martin Scorsese as a four-armed alien street food vendor. Chad's favorite character was the ultra-reliable rebel pilot Gara Zeb, or Zeb Aurelios, voiced by Steve Bloom. I don't know who Steve Bloom is, but okay. Noting that the character's design delightfully recalled Ralph McQuarrie's early concept art for Chewbacca. Running at 2 hours and 12 minutes, the film features a well-choreographed action sequences and authentic-looking alien locales. The battle-scarred spaceships and hardware, though created via CGI, look entirely real and convincing. While it might ultimately feel like a highly extended episode of a TV show, Chad strongly recommends it to franchise fans who want to experience the Star Wars universe back on the big screen. So thanks, Chad. Yes, this is the new Star Wars film that is officially a bomb. It has not done very well at the box office. And I don't think the reviews are particularly hot for it either, although I don't know if Chad comes over totally enthusiastic about it, but I suppose if he's not into the TV series, then it might be harder to justify watching the movie, but at least he was able to get into it as it went along quite easily. So yeah, kids and families should be able to, dads can take their sons to see it, or daughters to see it, and if they've already given up on the franchise, so it might be a good entry point for people to go back in. Good to hear.
So there'll be more of Chad's views and opinions on that in the MeWe group. So head across there to track down his extended views. As I say, these are summaries. Next up is Adrian Brain on the Portuguese language film The Secret Agent from 2025. Amid the political turmoil of 1977 Brazil, a technology expert is forced into hiding and seeks help from the underground resistance as he tries to flee the country with his young son. Adrian says that that viewers won't truly understand what's happening until well over halfway through, and it does meander at the start. The film avoids compelling plot points early on, choosing instead to focus on entirely on character development. Writer-director, Kleber Mendonça Filho, masterfully builds the story through character interactions, ensuring the audience is fully invested by the time the action escalates. Lead actor Wagner Moura delivers a fantastic performance that, alongside the film as a whole, earned a well-deserved Oscar nomination. The film features some wonderfully surreal imagery, with Adrian specifically highlighting a bizarre scene involving a disembodied leg attacking people. While its length, misleading title, and lack of clear genre might alienate some viewers, Adrian highly recommends it for anyone who appreciates uncompromising international filmmaking. Portuguese, eh?
Yeah, I quite like Portuguese movies. I've watched quite a few horror movies that they put out over the years, so yeah.
Very interesting. Thank you, Adrian. Good shout. More of that in the MeWe group, so head across there.
Cool. Irvin Ali has written in on By the Sword, which he remembers watching when it was 20 years ago, back in it was released in 1991, and he enjoyed the rewatch. But he's as he is both a fan of Eric Roberts and F. Murray Abraham. You can guess the plot, but it's about fencing, swordplay, and top-notch or is top notch with no special effects or AI in sight. So good old fashioned practical effects there. I haven't actually heard of By the Sword. I might actually look into that because I do like both of them. Adventure, drama, sport movie. Yeah, okay. I'll add that to my list to watch. Thank you. I'd like to know where you saw that, so I'll check out MeWeed. Hopefully, you said there. Irfan has also watched Legends, which is a TV series from this year, which is an excellent British drama on Netflix based on true events on how HMRC got involved with the taking down of some of the heroin trade in the 1980s. There's only six episodes, so he binged that over 2 days. There are some excellent performances. Steve Coogan always surprises Irfan, as he still thinks of him as a comedian.
Yeah, I've never heard of Legends.
No, me neither. I was thinking it was that Tom Hardy thing.
Yeah, I do like Steve Coogan though. I do. I think I prefer him as a serious actor these days than a comedian. But he does both quite well, I think. So
yeah
good stuff. Okay, thanks, Irfan. Good stuff. We're on to Flop of the Fortnight now, and I have watched a film from 2018 called The Toy Box, and it's a really dreadful, low-budget film. A motorhome has a life of its own. It's supposed to be a horror thriller. A motorhome has a life of its own, acquired by the fact that it used to belong to a serial killer, now dead, who comes back to haunt anyone else that uses the vehicle, treating them the same way, terrorizing them and killing them off. He appears from nowhere as a ghost. It's a lot of supernatural nonsense that doesn't have the saving grace even of being any good. The acting by everyone is terrible. The script is awful. The characters are badly written, making stupid decisions throughout. As they head off into the middle of nowhere in the searing heat, no phone signal, of course, and of course they break down.
Yeah.
They that forms the basis of the story, really, is that they break down in the middle of nowhere, and this motorhome RV is terrorizing them. They also seem to get over their losing, because basically they get picked off one by one, but it's just amazing how the characters get over losing their relatives really quickly and easily when it happens. So then there's I don't know, he's controlling all the actions as it goes along. Like, for example, the engine of the vehicle will only work when he makes it work. When they try and make it work, it doesn't. But if there's someone stood behind the van, it suddenly works and goes into reverse and kills them. There's a broken TV that he makes work. Spooky it's not, scary it's not, thrilling it's not either. It's a ludicrous plot and totally predictable. There are a few gory blood scenes here and there, and there are a couple of surprise death methods, I suppose, but that's it. Dreadful waste of time. And if you want to watch it and you don't believe me, you can now see it free on YouTube, and I'll put a link in the show notes to that if you fancy the challenge.
Dare I ask where the toy box actually comes into it?
Because the serial killer called his van his toy box, because of all the ways in which he used to kill people in there. It was his plaything.
Oh, okay.
The motorhome is the toy box. Anyway, I don't recommend that. It's a lot of twaddle. And the other thing that was a lot of twaddle was something that I watched only because you were talking about Jack Taylor on the last show, and I thought I must watch something that he's in. So I watched this film from 1982 called Pieces, and it was just diabolical at every level. The acting was terrible by the whole cast. The script was awful. The sound had been dubbed on afterwards, and it's just so obvious. The lines are all delivered by all the actors in a wooden manner throughout. It felt as though they tried to copy Police Squad in so many ways. It felt like they had tried to make a dumb American 1980s teen comedy, but it was just done really badly and without any comedy in it. It comes across like an episode of Columbo, in fact, in terms of production and delivery. I mean, Jack Taylor is only in it for a very few scenes and doesn't do much. And he's actually the most wooden of the lot in terms of acting. I make me wonder if they were told to act in a wooden fashion. Anyway, the characters are all annoying. There was plot holes all over the place. The camera, there is some gore in it. There's quite a lot of gore in it, but it seemed to be done away from camera quite a bit. So it cut away and showed you the aftermath sort of thing. Probably saved money, didn't it? And there was lots of nudity in it. So it felt also like a bit of an excuse for a tits and arse film, a kind of carry-on film almost, or confessions of film, without anything funny in it to rescue it. Just diabolical, and I didn't enjoy it at all, as you have just realised.
All right. No, I quite like this film, but then I have a major love for early 80s slasher films, primarily because they're good fun for all the wrong reasons. You know, they are pretty badly put together. They usually have hammy acting, and they're badly written, and the special effects are the one thing to really look forward to, because you know that's where ingenuity comes from, and a lot of the cinematic greats that we have today came from that, like Sam Raimi or James Cameron, you know, really exercising their skill to try and make something out of it. And that really gets me. You know, I love those sorts of things. And Pieces, it had Paul L. Smith in it, who I'm a really big fan of, and that probably surprises no one. But it also had Jack as well, and it delivered when I was watching it, because it was just good fun. And I watched it with people. I didn't sit down and seriously analyze it and try and get as much enjoyment out of it as possible. It's just a fun little slasher film, and the kills were quite good. They were quite graphic, but obviously they don't sort of show you much of the grueling stuff. You just get to see blood spattering and things like that, because they can't really afford to go and stick an axe through a woman's head. You know, I think the film opens with a child killing his mother or something, because she finds him with a jazz mag, or something like that.
There's a lot of chainsaw stuff going on.
Right. Yes. Yeah. There's a girl who gets her arm lopped off. That's right. It's really quite funny in an elevator or something. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a better slasher film than some of them, but it is very low budget, so it's an acquired taste.
Yeah. Well, you can acquire it, and I'll keep away from it. Right, Fandom Focus. Fandom Focus next, and it's my turn to pick something, and I'm going to pick Benny Hill, and the impact of Benny Hill on my early life, particularly because he, in the 1960s and 70s, but in the 1960s particularly, we kind of grew up, me and my sisters, really liking Benny Hill on the telly all the time, light entertainment. He was also born in Southampton, where we lived, and so my dad was very keen to kind of be proud of the fact that he's a local boy. And so we were allowed to watch it against the odds, given that the house was a religious maniac house. But we were allowed to watch it. So lots of lewd and crude TV shows, pushing the boundaries of comedy and innuendo and tits and arse in the 60s, in a way that the BBC wouldn't let him do. So these half-hour shows tended to be on ITV. I think later on they switched to BBC, but initially it was all ITV that were the more liberal kind of channel. But also there's a bit of a film history with Benny Hill, and I loved his turn in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. He was the toy maker, and he's just delightful in that role. And I've spoken about the film so many times on the show, but reminds me very much of my childhood with that, and he was just great in that. Those Magnificent Men in Their Flying Machines, he played Fire Chief Perkins. and also in the Italian Job. I'd forgotten about that one, but he
Oh yeah.
played Professor Simon Peach in the Italian Job. I've actually put a couple of clips, a couple of links to YouTube scenes in the show notes, so people, if they are interested, they can click through and have a look at those couple of scenes in some of those films. But then he seemed to meander off to America after that, and also he spent some time in Australia trying out the markets there, I suppose. And at one time I thought that in America he was going to just become really big, but he didn't seem to. He returned to kind of being the British person. And people that know him personally reflect on the fact that he was a milkman in Eastleigh near Southampton in his early life, and he never married. He lived in a simple life in the flat that he had in Southampton, and maybe that had something to do with the fact that why he didn't want to head off to America and make a fortune for himself. Yeah, we just loved him. And also, I'm reminded of Ed Stewpart's Junior Choice, which was a Saturday morning radio show on Radio 1, which switched eventually to Radio 2. And we loved Ed Stewpart's Junior Choice, me and my sisters. And of course, the song that he's famous for is Ernie, and he drove the fastest milk cart in the West. And that was really significant to us because it kept being played by Ed Stewart, and it was just great. So, big fan of Benny Hill. I thought he was just amazing in everything he did, and it's a shame that he didn't do more. And it sounds like he was probably a sad kind of character who wasn't very outgoing, lived alone, and was happy to be very lonesome. But yeah, I know you're a bit of a fan on the side, aren't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I loved him in the Italian Job. I think that's that's where I associate my first memories of him from. But I do remember him being on TV. Whilst I didn't watch his TV show religiously, I did kind of like it whenever it was on because it was just enjoyably silly. And it's that kind of maybe Thursday night comedy that got you through the week a wee bit more. Yeah, but it's always a sad story, isn't it, with the major comedy contributors over the years that off screen they're depressed. And I do remember watching a biopic of him or a documentary about him where it talked about how he struggled with depression off screen, and there was something about the house that he lived in, and he did he become a recluse after years or something?
I didn't know that, but I do know that he was very reclusive. And he was very happy to be alone. But I didn't know anything about being depressed and what have you. So no.
Yeah, maybe it is something to do with that. I can't remember. I need to watch it again. It was just a Channel 4 documentary or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Anyway, that was my fandom focus. Great memories of Benny Hill and really, really good fun. Just sticking his two fingers up to everything. Really, it was just so refreshing. Oh yeah, as I say, I'm surprised we were allowed to watch it, but we really, really liked it. So there you go. Fred Scuttle. You remember Fred Scuttle? One of his characters was called Fred Scuttle. He was really funny.
I couldn't name any of his characters. But I had noticed that there's been a lot of AI upgrading of the original ITV broadcasts and things like that. I don't know if it's just images, but I had a quick look through Google Images to see what I could make of it, and they look bad. The AI is maybe the technology doesn't lean very well toward modern AI, but yeah, it's the images that I'm seeing there are pretty bad.
Right. Yeah. Very sad indeed. Right. Okay, then that's fandom focus done. We're on to private screening next, and I challenged us to watch Fackham All, which was a very interesting comedy, basically. If Monty Python and Downton Abbey had a love child was one of the taglines I read somewhere. But do you want to go first?
I can certainly do that, yeah. Well, we featured the trailer in Coming Soon a number of weeks ago, and I thought it did look somewhat entertaining, and I was more interested in the idea of Jimmy Carr appearing in this, and what kind of role he might be playing, and if we were going to start to see him doing like Ricky Gervais did, and maybe working his way up to starring in movies. I don't think he needs to, because I think he's that rich that he doesn't have to worry about these sorts of things. But he and I think it was his brother, contributed quite a bit to the screenplay. So I was a bit more interested in seeing it from that point of view, because it's not the sort of thing I would normally pick up. But to be quite honest, it won me over very quickly, because it's actually, I felt it was a wee bit more like a Naked Gun style spoof of Downton Abbey, but where they decided to turn the crude British humour up to 11, because of Jimmy Carr being there, and they just had sort of knob gags and pedo gags and all those sorts of things throughout the entire thing. But the cast played it all perfectly straight, which I always feel helps sell a film, depending on the tone mainly, but it works here because the cast is all not comedic actors. They are dramatic actors, like Damian Lewis. I don't know him appearing in a comedy. I can't think of any comedies that he's ever been in. And to see him just, shake off that dramatic aura that he always has, aside from his hilarious music career, which is utterly mind-boggling. He's a real comedy mastermind here, and I think he just, like Leslie Nielsen, whenever he moved into Police Squad and Airplane, people went, cock-a-hoop because he was so funny, having been so serious before that. And it just works. Robert De Niro did it with Meet the Parents. And that really benefited the film greatly. The rest of the cast are all tremendously talented actors and actresses who don't seem out of place being in, a prime time or a period drama from the time. Ted, do you want to take this over? I'm just getting a phone call at the moment. I need to deal with it. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so I reviewed this. I'll put a link in my show notes, in the show notes to my review. But yes, it's basically, I started my review by saying it's a British period drama with fart jokes and a good dose of Monty Python. And the Monty Python hooks, if you know the film The Meaning of Life, the Monty Python hooks in there are actually quite bizarrely, oddly copycatting some of the things. I mean, there's a scene in The Meaning of Life where some guy sits at the piano and plays this little ditty called "Isn't it awfully nice to have a penis?" And they've essentially just taken that and done a very similar scene with slightly different words. And there's also the Jimmy Carr plays this clumsy word-tied vicar, and it very much like Michael Palin was in the Meaning of Life as well. There's also a takeoff of the All Things Bright and Beautiful, which they ripped off to be All Things Dull and Ugly, I think it was, in The Meaning of Life. And so there was a lot of that going on. They taken lots. Obviously, probably Carr was a fan of the film and Python as well, and so there was a lot of kind of nods going on. But you're right about Damien. I can't remember his name now. Damian Lewis. Damian Lewis. I don't remember him being in any comedy apart from this, and he plays the hilarious Lord Davenport absolutely brilliantly. Because he has to play it like this out of touch English aristocrat who doesn't really quite understand what's going on around him, and he just does it really, really well. He's a complete twit, upper class twit of the year. More nods to Python, I guess. And there's a real chemistry between the two leads. So Thomasin Mackenzie and Ben Radcliffe play Rose and Eric at the centre of the story. and they play off against each other really, really well. So that part of it works, and yeah, it comes across in some ways like a carry-on film. Um, it, I just think that the whole thing came together, and I wasn't expecting to like this. I previously decided to watch this once before, and I turned it on, and after about 10 minutes, I got a bit fed up with it. But this time, I think it was probably a frame of mind thing, and the whole thing about the kind of aristocratic twittish stuff going on, like it's a period drama from upstairs, downstairs, or some other stuffy British thing. And in the middle of this, they've chucked this murder mystery because one of the central characters gets killed in the plot, and so suddenly this dopey inspector turns up, and he does that really well as well. And I haven't got his name in front of me, but he does it just. Oh, here he is. It's Tom Goodman Hill, and
Yeah,
he
Salmon's
plays.
mate.
Is he? Oh, okay. He plays this bungling police inspector really well, like Clouseau, I suppose. I just think that it worked really well. And one of the great things about it also, again, nod to Python, is that you need to watch it 2 or 3 times, I reckon, to pick up on all the little gags that are laying around the place, that the hidden jokes in book titles and newspaper headlines and stuff on the walls. And I think you would just need to watch it a number of times to pick up on all the different things that are going on in it. So oh, look, it's raining. Blimey. Sorry. I wonder what that noise was. Rain, rain, hurrah. So I was really trying to find out in myself a reason not to score this 15, because I just enjoyed it so much. I thought it was great, and I think it deserved to be top marks. But top marks needs to be reserved for perhaps something just that completely blows my socks off. So I took 1 point away and made it 14 because they'd copied so much of the life of the meaning of life. But it was a bit of a casual kind of knocking off of 1 point, really. I did think very hard about whether I should do that, and it's a brilliant film. I loved it. I think it was really funny, and it just had so much going for it. So 14 for me, verging on 15. What about you?
Yeah, sorry, I had to cut it short there, but no, there was a lot of comedy that I felt it was tremendously broad, but at the same time, it was also there was also some very conventional comedy as well, and I think it balanced quite easily between very funny things, and then it used less funny things quite well. You can see bad attempts at humor or much less funny humorous scenes happening, and you're just going, oh, it's a wee bit fun. But I think that propels the funnier stuff that happens around it. So you get jokes that sort of bookend lesser jokes. So it was that kind of thing, and all of the cast were completely in on it as well, and really sold the material that they had. So I think it was a very, very strong comedy that had a number of really big hits whenever it came to belly laughs. And whilst I don't think I laughed out loud when I was watching it. I did titter to myself quite a bit at some things, and there are a few jokes that it maybe overdoes, like Jimmy Carr, for example, is his joke keeps happening, and it's a funny joke, but 2 or 3 times it was very funny, and then I think they do it 6 or 7 times throughout the entire film, and you're like, okay, what's the next one? Okay, that. So it kind of loses its sheen after a while. But the film happily finds something else to replace it with after it does that. So it is an excellent film for that. I can't say that I'll go and revisit it as much as I feel I would Airplane or Naked Gun or Top Secret, but I do think I would quite happily come back to it in a few years. And if they tried to make a sequel, I think I would be wary. But yeah, it might work if they've got a unique. Because I think it's a big hit, so a sequel isn't the worst idea in the world, or it's not the most unlikely thing to happen. So I'd give it maybe about 11 out of 15. I don't know that I would go cock a hoop to use that line again, but yeah, no, 11. It was a good call. Good call. It was nice to have a modern comedy in here.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. So that gives it a total of 25, and that puts it actually very high up. The 26 is run out after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items. So it's basically seventh in our list. Well, there are a number of 25s going on, but yeah, certainly between us, we've done it proud, Governor.
Aye. That we have.
So good film. Do watch it. It's out there and available nigh, and so you can get in on it. Right, your turn to choose something for next show. Obviously, what are you going to pick?
Oh, I can't remember. I'll have to scroll through the notes. Oh yes, I was going to give you a choice because it was so fresh-faced and enjoyable and light-hearted. I thought I'd just go and pick up your day. I'm going to give you a choice of two. One has been recommended on here before by a listener. They suggested that you should watch it. It's called Martyrs. It's from 2008. I would not recommend that. Well, it's all right, I suppose, but the American remake isn't terrific. The original the European version is vastly superior. So there's that. Or just to keep up with the bouncy idea of Martyrs, Irreversible from 2002 with Monica Bellucci and Vincent Cassel, directed by Gaspar Noé. Which do you fancy?
Well, the choice is easy, really, because I haven't seen Irreversible, and it has been lined up for quite a long time, and I'm aware of it, and I should be watching it. Martyrs I have seen, and we did talk about it, or I talked about it on the show, but a long time ago, so long forgotten. And you're right, someone else did talk about it in the interim time as well. Irreversible looks really complex and interesting plot, and yeah, so that's my pick.
Fair enough. Well, then, Irreversible it is. Tune in in 2 weeks' time to see Ted in a state of depression.
Pick a theme is next, and I chose on the last show to do films that are to do with trains. My first one I picked was something I'd never seen before, which had matey in it, Charles Bronson.
Oh yeah.
And it's called Break Heart Pass. And it's a 1975 film, and it's a brilliant mashup of a gritty 1870s Western and an Agatha Christie style murder mystery based on an Alistair MacLean novel. The story kicks off with grim news. A diphtheria outbreak at a remote army post is going on in snowy Idaho, wherever Idaho is. A special express train is rushed. Yeah, I knew that much. Come on. My geography of America is terrible. I have no idea what Idaho is. Anyway, a special...
where Jim Kirk is from.
Well, that doesn't help, does it? Which, is it left, right, top or bottom?
I think it's left.
Okay, that helps. A special express train is rushed out to deliver medical supplies, carrying a company of troops in a luxurious rear car packed with high-profile civilians, including a governor, his fiancée, and a doctor, and a preacher. Along the way, they pick up a U.S. Marshal and his handcuffed prisoner, John Deacon, played by Charles Bronson, is on the face of it anyway. He's being taken off to in chains to be thrown into jail. Anyway, once the train hits the treacherous snowbound Rocky Mountains, well, I think I know where they are, the chaos begins. Officers vanish, telegraph lines are cut, and the doctor is found murdered. But Deakin is a cynical genius. He uses his low-profile status to snoop around and discovers that neither the medical cargo nor he are exactly who they seem, or what they seem.
Dun, dun, dun.
What follows is an absolute blast of a train-bound, action-packed adventure. We get runaway carriages, dynamite, a brutal rooftop fistfight to the death between Bronson and this bloke. Apparently, this actor, used to be a former boxing champion, Archie Moore. I've never heard of him, but they had this punch up on the top of the train, which is actually very impressive. And it all culminates in this massive chaotic shootout at Breakheart Pass, which is where the names come from. And there's loads of Red Indians, Native Americans involved, running around on horses and causing chaos. It's a really good adventure film, and I'm surprised that I'd not seen it before. There's fantastic snowy cinematography going on, of course, and practical stunts. I think you mentioned this earlier, I think, where actors actually do the work, and not all CGI. And it's a really good 90-minute film. It's not long. We're talking about Alistair MacLean. This is no Where Eagles Dare, I don't think, but it's a really enjoyable yarn, and it's well worth a watch. So I'm glad I watched that. And that was my first train offering.
Okay, I haven't actually seen that one. It's a Charles Bronson film I haven't seen yet.
Ah, well, you've got a treat in store then. It is quite good. Okay, what's your first train pick?
Well, I'd have to go with a little film that I put on by mistake once for my son, thinking it was just a little short, silent comedy in the vein of Charlie Chaplin, and it starred Buster Keaton. So I threw it on thinking, this will be done in 20 minutes or 40 minutes, and he'll just enjoy all the sight gags and things like that. But it wasn't. It was much more of a well, it still is a comedy, but it was a much more serious feature film that involves Buster Keaton on a train, getting up to all kinds of stunts and hijinks, and not quite getting up to the slapstick nonsense that you would expect, called The General. It does have a fair amount of slapstick in it, but it just delivers. It's got a message in there as well. It's a very sensible and well layered, I'd say action film more so, because it's really exciting. It's very well paced. It's very well orchestrated. It's got some beautiful sequences and things like that. And you just have to admire Buster Keaton for everything that he does throughout the film. And don't get me wrong, I make it sound like it's some sort of a dramatic classic dramatic movie, but it does feature just some wild, crazy stunts and excitement and gags here and there that constantly work. But it's just one of those cinematic classics that I'd fully recommend anyone to go out and check out again, because it still works today. It's so big and bold and beautiful to see on the screen. There's so much going on, and you have to take your hat off to Buster Keaton and everything that he's doing here, because it works. It's not quite the live action cartoon that you might expect from old fashioned silent comedies, but it has such grandeur to it that it's impossible not to find intriguing and jaw dropping, to be honest. Have you seen The General?
Yeah. So some of the stunts are just amazing, aren't they? Like him riding on the front of a train, and most of this stuff was just him having done it. There's no stunt people going on. But he just got on with it and did it. And yeah, it's certainly worth a watch for anyone that hasn't watched it. I do agree.
Yeah.
A good pick.
What's your next
indeed.
one?
Right, my next one is Child 44 from 2015. You might be forgiven for thinking that this is a biopic of Andrei Chikatilo. You may know him as the Red Ripper, the Soviet serial killer, because this has some interesting parallels with it. It's a work of fiction that loosely adopts the same modus operandi to explore the suffocating paranoia of post-World War II Soviet Russia. It's got a great cast with Tom Hardy and Noomi Rapace, who we love, and great support from Joel Kinnaman, and a commanding, though underused, role for Gary Oldman. Hardy plays a disgraced state security officer who suspects foul play when a young boy is found dead near the railway tracks. While the injuries scream mutilation, the authorities are desperate to write it off as a train accident. And the authorities want to do that because of the same reason as the link back to Chikatilo, is that they to admit a serial killer exists in their country would be admitting communism has failed. So the saying is that there is no crime in paradise, and they don't want to admit to anything going on. Anyway, so to catch the killer, Hardy's character has to go rogue, dragging his wife into a dangerous cross-country game of cat and mouse with the very regime he used to serve. The first hour is slow and it's gloomy and plodding, but as it goes on, it gets better. People might kind of be put off by the fact that it's subdued and it's depressing, and also one of the things that was quite annoying was that the actors were mumbling a lot of the time, and Hollywood Russian accents were just kind of tough to pick up on, I thought. Anyway. Once you get past the setup, the pace quickens into a solid thriller. Hardy and Rapace give superb performances. The film does spend too much on the bureaucracy, though, in my opinion. This is a summary, as you will have worked out by now, from my review in my blog, which I'll link to. I think it's worth a watch, and it's a good film, and I enjoyed it the first time I watched it. And these two lead actors are just really, really good. It's slow paced in some ways, and it's dour, and it's about post-war Soviet Russia and the killing of a boy and of serial killers and stuff. Good film, really enjoyed it, but you have to be in the right frame of mind, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I wanted to mention before I go back to you was Von Ryan's Express. Absolutely rip-roaring World War II adventure. I really, really enjoyed this when I was a kid. It's from 1965, and it's one of those 1960s World War II films that I grew up with. And they, Saturday afternoon on BBC Two or latterly on Channel 4 maybe. And Von Ryan's Express is just such fun. It's so good, about this group of mainly British prisoners of war in Italy, and then the war comes to an end and they've got to get out of the country just as it's all going tits up, and so they all pile on this train, and the adventure starts from there really, as they try and get across the border on this train, avoiding what's left of the Nazi command, who are still kind of controlling the railway system, and they've got to find a way through. So really good film, and you nodded, so you know.
Yes, I remember watching this a number of years ago. I came to it quite late. I didn't see it when I was young, but I think I watched it when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, while I was blazing through some war films like this, and I was trying to gauge whether or not I liked Frank Sinatra. But I really enjoyed the pants off this. It's not quite Where Eagles Dare, but it's up there. It's up there.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, what's your last one?
Well, that would be a little Cannon film, and people are going to know where I'm going with this now. Probably one of the best films that Cannon ever released, starring Jon Voight, Eric Roberts, and Rebecca De Mornay, back in 1985, was Runaway Train. What a clumsy title, but it's a bit like, I suppose, Breakheart Pass. It's a snowy, action-adventure set aboard a runaway train as two escaped convicts attempt to escape on the train to freedom. And the whole thing is just so intense, nail-biting, finger-crushing, and really, really cold throughout the entire thing. Going back to Eric Roberts there, he is fantastic in quite an early role, I suppose. And then John Voight, who's just a grizzled vet, can do whatever he wants. And Rebecca De Mornay is delightful as well. It was directed by I'm going to butcher this, I apologize, but Andrei Konachalovsky, who is known for, not that many films that are sort of, domestic hits. It was a bit of a strange one for him to take on because he directed things like Shy People and Uncle Vanny, which weren't big hits in America. So it was one of those canon things of maybe he was trying to make it in America, or they just offered him a big paycheck, and he went and picked up this trashy movie and he turned it into something superb, in the hands of a talented director. Actually, just looking at it, he directed Tango and Cash as well. Stand corrected. He had some fun things in there too, but he was very much a sort of arty foreign director, and he makes a meal out of Runaway Train. It is fantastic. It's a 5-star movie, absolutely worthwhile. Have you seen Runaway Train?
I'm watching the trailer now, and I'm thinking to myself, how have I not seen this? This looks fantastic. It looks really, really good. It's just up my street, this is, and no doubt at all I should be going and tracking this down to watch it, because it's also set in the snow by the looks of it mostly, which appeals to me. I love stuff that's in the cold and the snow.
Yeah.
And the train fun looks great. Yeah, absolutely. I'm totally going to watch this. So that looks to me like a really good shout.
Maybe I should have suggested it for the main feature, but no, you watch it in your own time.
John Voight also, I really appreciate his talents as well.
Yeah, great actor.
So there you go. Right, okay, so a theme for the next show. What's it going to be?
Well, since we've talked about so many snowy places, I thought we'd go for arid climates, because you're melting away in your caravan at the moment. That would probably make a nice thing for you to explore, watching hot movies.
Yeah, thank you. We're back to Ice Cold and Alex again, aren't we?
Yeah.
We've done that. We can't choose that one, but yeah, that's fine. We'll go with that for the next show. Right, the main feature. I watched Lee Cronin's The Mummy, and I really thought it was good, and it's taken some real stick from people. I don't really quite understand why. This is not the Mummy kind of Egyptian tombs and archaeological adventures kind of thing, but it is set in Egypt, and it's basically a body horror. But it feels much more like The Exorcist to me, because it centers around this little girl who goes missing. This really creepy, spooky woman called the Magician grooms her basically, and kidnaps her, takes her away, and the family don't know where she is, and she's just gone. And then suddenly the film where we're leaping 8 years forward. So the fact they've never found the child, and then suddenly the police get in touch with them and say, we found her. Turns out that she'd been on a ship or on a boat or something in a I won't spoil it for you, but it's all very The Mummy-ish. And so, but when she returns, she's like a violent, mute half the time, a wreck of a child. And yes, of course, she's 8 years older, but she behaves like the girl in The Exorcist half the time. So there's lots of really stomach churning, chaotic scenes of body horror, levitation, and insect-fueled terror. It's really brutal and gory, and it's just chaotic. And I think that it's really, really worth a watch. I don't know why it's got such bad press. It's a really good thriller horror, which keeps you on the edge of your seat. I don't get it. I don't understand. The special effects are really ever so good, done really well. And the two girls that play the young and the older. Sorry, Natalie Grace plays the older girl who's the exorcist girl, and Billy Roy plays her younger sister, and between the pair of them they just steal the show. They're really, really good. And yeah, so the only complaint I have about it really is that it's a bit long. And it's it's 2 hours and 15 minutes long, and there's a scene at the end of it, a kind of epilogue, which takes up half of the last 15 minutes, which is just a bit kind of unnecessary. But I won't spoil that for you either, because it's you think the film's finished about under 2 hours, and then suddenly you've got this kind of thing going on after. Anyway, I'll leave that to you. If you can stomach the gore and the blood and it's just a really, really interesting take on the mummy thing, which keeps away from the traditional the mummy thing with Egyptian tombs. I think that the fact that it's set in Egypt is hooked up to this woman called the magician, who had, in fact, there's a scene right at the beginning of the film where the magician and her husband find this sarcophagus. Is that the right word?
Sarcophagus.
Sarcophagus, is that the right word?
Sarcophagus.
Sarcophagus, yeah, one of those anyway. They find this underneath their house, which they discover in their basement. There's a little pyramid in there, so there's hooks into the whole Egyptian thing. It's not totally missing, but I thought it was really, really good. I just don't get why it's got bad press and bad reviews. It was rip-roaring fun, and I recommend it. Have you seen it yet?
No, I haven't. I'm Mustard keen too, because he was the director of Evil Dead Rise, and he's an Irishman, so I need to get to it. Mm-hmm. Irishman doing good over in America, making big horror films. He got his name before the title, so that's a big important step for him as well.
Yeah,
not many people get that.
No, it's quite odd, isn't it? And it confused IMDb as well. And confused me. The other thing, just to quickly mention, is that I eventually finished the second series of Hijack with Idris Elba, where on the first series he was on this aeroplane, and on the second one, this one, he's on this on a train in Berlin. But it's kind of good. It's really well acted. It's another Apple thing. Really well acted, really well produced. But it's just so complicated. Keeping up with the plot, honestly, it's just mind-boggling. And I was every episode, I was like, what's going on? Who's who? What's what? Of course, in the end, it all comes together. Idris Elba is very good, and Toby Jones was in there, and he was very good as well. But I think he could have been used more in the series. Then there was this girl called Martha, played by Lisa Vicari, and she was really good. She was in that TV series we spoke about on the show called Dark before. She was she was Martha in Dark. That was it. Yeah, she wasn't Martha in Hijack, but she was really good. She played a control room girl, and anyway, I got there in the end, and I did enjoy it, but I was just really complicated, and as usual, had to turn to YouTube to get some explainers.
Fair enough. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm interested in Hijack season 2, but I've heard that it is quite a complicated show to get through, and sometimes you just don't fancy that. You might not fancy it for the whole run of the 10 episodes. Yeah, that's there. So after a couple of episodes, I found myself giving up on a few, because it's just like, I don't want
Eight.
to have to do the
Eight.
work at this time of night. Oh, 8.
Yeah, 8 episodes.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you. You've got to and it took me quite a long time to keep going back to it to finish it. So you are right.
Yeah.
You're always right, aren't you?
Well, I don't like to brag.
What have you been watching?
Well, I'm going to go with For All Mankind, season 5. Now, I
Yeah.
haven't finished season 5, and so I can't throw in any spoilers. But I have to say, I'm a wee bit let down.
Oh no!
But I feel like I'm in the minority. Perhaps I think I'm 5 or 6 episodes in. I think there's 8 in total. And so far, I've been fairly
10.
underwhelmed. Oh, is there 10?
Yeah.
Yeah. Unlike Hijack, which has 8.
You're getting your 8s and your 10s mixed up.
Yes, and I'm actually looking at that right now. It was on the screen in front of me, and I saw 10 episodes. But anyway, it hasn't finished yet, and I think the last episode is due to go out on Friday or Saturday, whatever day it debuts. But 5 or 6 episodes in, and I have to say, one of them has been excellent. All the rest have been somewhat middling. You know what? The first 3 seasons were all about, this great race, the inspirational race to get to the moon and then get to Mars. It sort of relied on that kind of in the America and all that to get there. And
Yeah.
And they can admit defeat if defeat does happen, and characters come and go, and they weren't too scared about getting rid of characters in a kind of Game of Thronesy type way, and it felt like it was going to be like a sci-fi version of Game of Thrones, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
But the last 2 seasons have fallen a bit, where it really feels claustrophobic, and that's intentional, because this season is set on a base on Mars, on a habitat, a big habitat compared to where Ed and Gordo and I forgot the girl's name, but there's a bunch of them that were stuck in this little habitat on the moon and Mars, and things were very claustrophobic and stuff. But this time around, it's a little more open and a little more not quite as claustrophobic, but that sort of loses that intensity, and it's turned into just another standard battle between the corporate government, the corporations and things like that, and the little people who are rising up, and they're going to take over, and they're going to tell the corporate government exactly what they think of them. And it's just like, this has been done so many times before. I can't believe it's become this. I'm really fed up with that storyline, and they're gradually coming around, and some people are starting to see what's happening, and taking action, and it's a call to arms, and they're protesting and things, and it's just I'm just losing the desire to carry on with it. But I'll persevere and finish it, because I've stuck with it this long, and hope that by the time this all comes to a close, because I'm pretty sure this is the last season, and then they're moving to Star City.
Yeah.
So it all has to come to a big climax,
Mm-hmm.
and from what I can see, is it's not going to do that. But I hope I'm proved wrong. But then, as you say, I'm never wrong.
I think that's a real shame, because I was looking forward to that. I did think that season 4 kind of fell away a bit. It started off so strongly, didn't it? In series 1 and series 2 were just great, and then just bit by bit it's kind of ebbed away. And I'm really disappointed to hear you say all these things about season 5, the finale. Shame.
Well, it feels a good bit cheaper as well. Like, I think back to the original 2 seasons where you had the flight crew and they were all out, and I've forgotten all of the characters' names, but they were going through training, and some of them were making it and some of them weren't, and it felt like the right stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas this now feels more like a direct-to-video sci-fi adventure that you would see on the Sci-Fi Channel, with them running around, the same corridor that was dressed differently for each different shot to try and sell it to make it go that little bit further, and having characters chase each other really slowly. Don't run too fast because then you'll run out of set to run across. So they have to run slowly, and it just feels like that. That's what this is dissolved down to. But in saying that, I think it's episode 3. Where we say farewell to a particular character, and it is bittersweet, and it is for all mankind at its best. They properly send off that character very well, and they bring back some characters just to make that moment just that wee bit more dramatic and special. And I was so glad that they did that, and it generated the enthusiasm just to keep going, because I have hope that there's going to be 1 or 2 more episodes like that before this comes to a close. And if the last episode is like that, then it'll be worth it, because it still has gold in it. It's getting very hard to find. The prospectors are old and tired, and they're running out of money, enthusiasm, and steam.
What a shame. Oh well.
Yeah.
Perhaps the what did you call that thing we had in Coming Soon, which takes the idea and retells it from the Russians' point of view. What was that called? I can't remember now.
Star City.
Oh yeah, you said it earlier, didn't you? So that's being turned into a film, isn't it? Not a TV series.
No, it's a TV series. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's got your girl from Fackham and Motherland in it, isn't it? I've forgotten her name. Anna blah, 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 thing. I can't remember her name.
Right. Okay. So perhaps that'll be interesting then.
Yes. Well, the other big main thing that I watched was I'm slowly working my way through the Terminator series with my 13-year-old son, and we've got to Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines, which I was hoping would be released on 4K prior to me watching it, but there is no 4K. It's the only Terminator film that doesn't have a 4K disc. I don't know what's going on there. It was tremendously profitable and deserves one. It's got a great cast, and I would say that this is easily the Return of the Jedi of the Terminator series. It's in the grand scheme of things, it's much better than other ones, but it's obviously not a touch on the two that predated it. Terminator 3 is big, bold, pretty dumb, but ultimately a really rewarding watch, because there is so much money on the screen. It's directed by Jonathan Mostow, which is the first one not to be directed by James Cameron, but Schwarzenegger obviously returns. It's got Nick Stahl taking over from Eddie Furlong, who was playing John Connor, and I think that is... Nick Stahl's a good actor, but he just doesn't work for me in John Connor's role. It doesn't work for me. Claire Danes is there, who can do no wrong in my book, and then Kristana Loken, I think her name was Loken, Loken, plays the TX, who is an upgrade from Robert Patrick's in Terminator 2. So everything looks like it should really just work again, and the Terminator 3 doesn't try to do anything that Terminator 1 and 2 did, and it doesn't need to sort of to pave the way anymore. They can just tell a big, bold, silly story about, in the universe, and that's what they do. And they open with a massive action sequence. And I don't know if have you seen Terminator 3?
No.
No, there is a huge sequence at the start where half of a city just gets ruined as these two Terminators get involved in a big car chase with a mobile crane, and they just smash up buildings left, right, and center. And you can't. It's so well done that you're thinking, were they like balsa wood sets or something that they were just bulldozing through, because they really genuinely look like, oh, they've obviously bought a building that is about to be demolished and decided, right, we're just going to drive a crane through it and destroy it. And they do that again and again, and there's glass and wreckage and mangled cars flying through the air. It's so much fun. And I think that, hold on 2 seconds.
You gone away? Hello? He's well, I'll tell you that while he's gone away, I'll tell you that I watched the first Terminator film at the cinema, and I don't know what year that was, and then I watched the second one at the cinema, and that had the melting cop in the second one, and I was absolutely fascinated by the second one. I was really taken back by how well the special effects were done with that melting man. But after that, I just seemed to kind of lose interest. So by the time it got to 3, I think I'd gone. I went to the cinema to see the first one, as I say, first 2, but it just didn't seem to be blowing my socks off anymore. So I haven't seen this one, no.
Well, you know, the second one is sheer spectacle, and it does everything right. It's one of those rare movies that it's very, very difficult to poke holes in. Terminator 3 very much is a film that you can poke holes in, but like Return of the Jedi, it is just eye candy and really enjoyable, and it tries to brings things to a close, and it does that exceptionally well. The development journey of it was really difficult, as they were trying to get it together, and it should have arrived before it did. And even Edward Furlong, he was supposed to come back as John Connor, but he was replaced by Nick Stahl, which was I think a big mistake that really affected it, because whenever you see Arnie and Nick Stahl, and Stahl's trying to generate that energy or try to focus the reuniting of these two, you're like, but they've never met before. We don't have that going on here. That it's a real missed opportunity. It went on to be a huge success. You know, I think I looked it up the other day, and I think it grossed something like almost $500 million, which was a lot at the time. And it had games and all sorts of things that went along with it. So it should have had everything going for it. The practical stunts and destruction that happens in it is going to leave everyone, you know, with a stupid grin on their face. Although whenever it comes back to rewatching it, you know, like the first one and the second one, you're not going to get as much out of it, because it's a really important, or it's a really well structured series of films up until a point where, when Terminator 3 happens, you know, it just became that kind of much more shallow experience. But you know, it's still the best of the sequels, bar the first, or bar Terminator 2, and you know, it was a constant downhill thereafter. So it got a lot of flack, like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom did at the time whenever it arrived, and Alien 3 when it arrived, and then over time, you know, because they made more bad, worse movies. So you can go back and reevaluate it and go, you know, it's better than Salvation, and it's better than Genesis, and it's better than Dark Fate, or whatever it's called. And as a result, you know, it's much more enjoyable now, and it's worth revisiting. If you like Terminator 1 and 2, give Terminator 3 another try, because it is just a big, silly popcorn not return to form, but better than the rest climax to the good part of the series. So yeah, give it a go. You should enjoy it.
Okay. Thank you for that. So,
and apologies, my wife stuck her head in halfway through there. I'm just fraught with interruptions tonight.
Does she bring a pudding with, like the old days of tech addicts?
No, she did want to show me some shopping that she's bought. She's going away on holiday in a couple of days.
Right, okay. Coming soon is next, and we have got 5 to offer today, haven't we?
Well, yes, and we're going to start big, because we got a big trailer for The Odyssey, Christopher Nolan's new film that stars, where do you start? Matt Damon, Tom Holland, Anne Hathaway, Robert Pattinson. I'm not going to even go any further because there's lots of people. It's the big film for the summer. It's opening on July 17th, and it's about, after the Trojan War, Odysseus faces the dangerous voyage back to Ithaca and meets creatures like the Cyclops, Polyphemus, Sirens, and Calypso along the way. Would you be in any way excited about The Odyssey?
It does look pretty good. Alan would love this. I'm sure he would. It has a real epic feel about it from the trailer. It reminds me a bit of Pompeii as well, with gorgeous Emily Browning lurking around. It looks like it's really well produced and acted and shot. And yeah, absolutely. Christopher Nolan's summer blockbuster. It looks like a really good adventure yarn, and I'm sure that I will enjoy it. Yeah, no question at all.
Yeah, it is one of those films that I think, like Tenet, is getting. I don't think they're being as aggressive with the marketing this time around as they were with Tenet. In case there's a bit of a backlash, I think it's got a bit of a lower profile. Well, there's that potential. There's so much pressure on Nolan to deliver a good film that. Having done Oppenheimer before this, it was a good film. The eyes are on him. Odyssey has to be good, really. Otherwise, they might start pushing him toward doing direct-to-video films for the Sci-Fi Channel. But yes, it does look great. A big money summer blockbuster, the likes of which we don't really see that often anymore, but we used to get all the time.
Cool.
Next up is Hope. This is a new. I better be careful. Is it Korean? I think it's Korean.
I think it is Korean.
Yeah. Horror, mystery, sci-fi thriller thing about a mysterious discovery that is made on the outskirts of a remote harbour town. The residents find themselves in a desperate fight for survival against something they have never encountered before. And the trailer doesn't give you too much to go on, but it's a creature feature. And it actually reminded me of The Host from a few years ago, but that's because it's called Hope, and Hope's a bit like host. It starts with an H, and it's got an O, and it's got 4 letters in it, but and it says it's a period drama as well, so I think it must be some sort of time-spanning thing.
Is it also a rip-off of a game? When I was watching the trailer, it looked like this is a PC game or a console game or something. It just had that look about it. Do you know if that's the case or not?
I haven't a clue. No, I don't think
so.
All right. Unless they're probably going to make a game of it. But much like Odyssey as well, it's going to be hitting almost 3 hours.
Wow.
So it's going to be a big summer for sitting in the cinema.
It looks like a lot of fun. I'm up for the Korean one certainly as well.
And it reminded me a wee bit of A Quiet Place.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it's somewhat sort of monster-y type thing.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, coming on the June 19th, and this was a wee bit of a risky one. I threw this in thinking that actually Ted might like this because it does seem a bit nasty, but it devolves down into more of a the most dangerous game thing. Land of Wolves, which is about a bunch of soldiers. When a covert rescue mission goes south, 4 elite Navy SEALs are captured and thrown into an underground death match. Watched by depraved billionaires, they are forced to fight in a brutal, illegal tournament with no weapons and no way out. They must rely on their training and unbreakable bond to not only survive the bloody arena, but to dismantle the entire operation and reclaim their freedom. Yeah, it looks like a butch macho Hostel meets in
Gladiator. It
Yeah.
reminded me of Gladiator, or that in one of the Star Trek films when they are forced to fight each other to the death on some sort of rotating platform. Remember? That
Da, 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 da. Yes, okay.
but set, or setting people up to just put for rich people's amusement to kind of kick the shit out of each other. Yeah, very Gladiator, I thought.
Yeah, it reminded me of a few Van Damme movies. Is it like Death Warrant or something? I know In Hell is one where there's like an arena fighting thing going on in a prison. It's not meets I think Hostel, but I've got a funny feeling there's going to be two brothers at the center of it, and they have to beat each other up, and then they manage to somehow use that to escape and work together because they're brothers, or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. But I think this looks kind of fun. And a bit of a change of pace from the other ones that we're talking about in coming soon this week.
Okay.
You gonna watch it?
Not sure. My first reaction was probably no. I'm not really particularly drawn to it, but you've got to give things a try, haven't you? Yes, I'll try it.
Oh, why not? Next up is Rich Flew. This is a sort of a sci-fi comedy, not a black comedy, dark comedy, with Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Rafe
Woohoo!
Spall and Timothy Spall. I'm just realizing, is that father and son, Rafe and Timothy
Don't
Spall?
know.
Now I think about it, they do look a bit alike, and they both have the same last name. Okay. This explores how far people would go to save themselves when the wealth that is made in the world around them becomes the most dangerous commodity after a strange disease threatens to kill anyone with any sort of fortune.
How
So,
ridiculous.
yeah, if you're rich, you get sick, and if you're poor, you don't.
That's just bonkers, isn't it? That's such a stupid stretch of an idea. It sounds like it's going to be really, really stupid and silly to me. The trouble is that Mary Elizabeth Winstead's in it, and I fancy the pants off of her. And in this trailer, she looks absolutely gorgeous, just like she did in Fargo. And so I'm going to have to watch it just for her.
Yeah. Well, I think it's what is it, an allegory or something for the state of the affairs today and things like that. And
Yeah.
if the rich were to have something, it works, and I think it's not going to be a film that is about stretching an idea more so than actually going out and making a statement. Probably written by people who are ridiculously rich and directed by people who are ridiculously rich and starring people who are ridiculously rich.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, the last one, and I think this has started already because I saw some pictures of it on another website talking about the first couple of episodes. Spider Noir. This is a new TV series about Ben Riley, a seasoned, down on his luck private investigator in the 1930s New York, who is forced to grapple with his past following a deeply personal tragedy as the city's one and only superhero. Coming from one of the Into the Spider-Verse. Remember we watched that?
Did we?
Into the Spider-Verse. Yeah, I think Alan suggested it, and you hated it, but Alan and I both loved it because it was a good attempt at a superhero movie that did things differently.
As you know, I don't particularly like superhero for anything, to be honest, apart from Batman and probably Superman, I suppose. So you wouldn't be expecting me to say this, but having watched this trailer, it looks really cool and stylish, and I like the whole noir black and white thing. That looked really good. Although I think outside of this trailer there is some colour in it as well. I'm not sure. I didn't quite get to the bottom of that, but it looks almost like an alien version of Batman at Gotham City with a kind of the Joker thrown in as well. And I don't know. Ultimately, the whole superhero thing might defeat me, but I think there's enough here for me to give it a go. Nick Cage looks really good in it, as does Lee Jun Lee. So I think that there's enough here for me to give it a go. Superhero film or not.
Yeah. Well, it was from Spider-Verse, which had a bunch of alternate sort of reality Spider-Man things going on, and one of them was a black and white noirish Spider-Man take on the Spider-Man universe. So they've gone and made a TV series of that.
Okay.
But that was a long time ago, actually, Into the Spider-Verse. I think it had a sequel as well, which we didn't touch on here, but. Yeah, it does. It looks like an impressive TV series with lots of money, and it's got Nick Cage. So, yeah, I like the look of this too.
Looks good. Fine. Links to all of that lot in the show notes as well. And before we go, it's final curtain time. One person, Gareth.
Well, yes, that would be George Eastman. And apologies, I didn't pick this up until recently. Although I'm confused now because I saw it on a website saying that he'd passed away back in March, and I missed it then, and I was a bit miffed by that. But now it's saying that it was the 19th of May that he.
Yeah, somebody posted it in the MeWe group just a few days ago. So I think that it is recent.
Right, okay. That's a weird. Yes, George Eastman, for those who don't know, is a very well-known name in the Euro spaghetti western, Euro crime, Euro horror world during the 60s, 70s, and 80s. I can't actually think of anything that I've seen him in quite recently. I don't know where he went after a while, but I know him very well from some of the movies that I've been gradually working my way through in the 70s and 80s. And he's a fantastic actor and a really good director and writer as well. He's a bit nuts, I'll give you that. And he's appeared in some fairly dubious things over the years, and he's written some fairly dubious stuff as well. But look, God help me, he delivers. In all of them, and I think Ted, I put you on to watching. What was it, Anthropologus? I don't have it in front of me. What was the name of that from Jody Adams' movie from the 1980s? The really gory one.
I have no idea. Sorry, I'm not with you. You'll have to give me more to get to that.
Oh, okay. Well, it was a classic video nasty that ended up on the list, and it's not as bad as people make out. But it was.
He was in it, was he?
He was, yes. He played the main character, and Diadamo directed it. But he
find out what film that was. Then, sorry, carry on.
Oh, you're okay. I just can't pronounce the name.
Anthropophagus.
Yes, that's the one. Yes.
Right. I don't remember seeing that.
A sequel as well. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
I thought you'd watched it and went, no, that wasn't for me.
Don't remember.
But he was also in Erotic Nights of the Living Dead, if you want to go for that, in Porno Holocaust. I think he wrote that as well, perhaps. But he stayed with all the main kind of European influences as they moved across, and he went from the spaghetti western into kind of the Mad Max knockoffs that they were making, and the horrors and things like that. And he swung with what was going on. He was in a good few Polizio Testi movies as well. The likes of there was one in particular that was being re-released recently called Rabid Dogs that I would urge anyone to go and pick up. That was Mario Bava's final film, and I think it was Arrow put it out on Blu-ray, and I had no idea about it. I just grabbed it one day thinking, wow, this is another Polizio Testi violent crime movie. And then I watched a lot about it and was like, wow, this is actually a relic. This is a really interesting piece that was never actually properly released, because Bava didn't get to finish it. But Eastman starred, and I think he wrote that too. But he was in Absurd as well, and Fall of New York. What was the one? 2019 Fall of New York, and the Bronx Warriors, and Endgame, and the Warriors of the Wasteland, and a whole load of stuff over the years. And he was just an identifiable face, and a welcome character actor whenever he popped up on screen. You've had a look through his filmography. Did you spot anything?
No, I really try hard these days to find just something with these people that you often bring to the final curtains. Just find some hook in there somewhere. But I've had a really good look through all of this, and there's just nothing. I haven't heard of the chap, and I clearly haven't seen anything he's been in. So sorry.
That's no problem. It happens. You know, he's very much in the European scene, and I don't think he had too many films outside of that. You know, you can't say that he was in a big Martin Scorsese film or something like that.
No.
But the odd time his little films jumped out of the pan and worked in the States, you know, on video, or became a notorious video nasty or something like that. That people dug for a while.
Was he young or old?
He was quite old, yeah. 83 he passed away at.
Okay. Very sad. Yeah. He looks, in this picture we're looking at him as a kind of gunslinger. He looks the part. He looks a real kind of Western character, mean kind of face, and
I was just having a look back to see how many Django films that he was in, and in 1966.
Oh, I've seen Django.
No, not that one. No.
Oh, right.
Django had a lot of knockoffs.
Okay.
Django shoots first in 66, then Django kills Softy in 67. Django the Last Killer in 67 as well. Django Prepare Your Coffin, I've seen that one in 68. And I think that's a lot.
Oh, hang on a minute. I was looking through the list of him as writer, not what he's been in. For goodness sake, pull yourself together.
All right. Well, I don't think you'll fare much better on the actor side of things, but there are a few in there that might have crossed your path, like Blast Fighter or Hands of Steel.
Emmanuel et Francois.
Ah, there you go, Ted. That's one for you.
Let me have a quick look and scan down before we go, and see if I can find anything. No, sorry, still can't. Shame. Right, okay, thanks for that, Gareth. And I'll put a link in the show notes also to your goodbye piece on your blog, on your website, so people can go and have a look at that as well. As you were a fan. Right, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time. We're done here today. Projectorroom.co.uk is our website. Finding all the hooks and links in there for what we've been talking about today. GarethMyles.com is the URL of what I just mentioned a minute ago. If you get lost with anything else, then it's TedSalmon.com, audio podcasts galore, and the MeWe groups all linked out to from there. Apart from that, we just hope that you'll come and join us in the MeWe group, the Projector Room MeWe group, and tell us what you've been watching, and we'll bring highlights of that in shows going forward. So, yep, 2 weeks' time. Hope you'll join us again next time in the Projector Room.